The rain fell heavy on Norwich, its cobbles slick under a bruised sky, the air thick with the stench of wet wool and smoke. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands rough from the loom, my back bent from years of labor in a world that saw me as little more than a shadow. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land of shifting faiths and iron laws, where a woman's worth hung on her chastity, her sons, and her silence. My home was a timbered hovel, its dirt floor shared by my father, Thomas, my younger sister, Bess, and a clutch of chickens that scratched at our heels. The King's break with Rome echoed in our parish church, where priests now preached in English. But for me, life was unchanged, endless work, a marriage I dreaded, and a body worn by hunger. Now, a new shadow fell of betrothal to John the Tanner, a man twice my age, a royal tax that threatened our loom, and whispers of witchcraft against our neighbor. Widow Marjorie, a fire that could consume us all. Norwich woke damp, its market sparse, the air sharp with the clang of church bells, a call to prayer I couldn't ignore. My straw mattress itched, its fleas a constant tax, my blanket sour with sweat and wood smoke. I rose, my feet calloused against the cold floor, my shift clinging to my skin. Privacy was a dream. Bess stirred beside me. Father coughed by the hearth, and the chickens clucked, their eggs my morning's hope. The fire was dead, its ashes gray, and I knelt, flint in hand, coaxing a spark to life. My hands chapped, my breath clouding. Pottage simmered, oats and leeks in a dented pot. No meat, no eggs today, the hens were stingy. My chores loomed. Fetch water, feed the chickens, sweep the floor with twigs, spin wool, and weave cloth for market, all before John's visit at dusk. Father sat, his face lined, his hands gnarled from years at the loom. Agnes, he rasped, his voice low. John's a good match, his trade steady, his house dry. You'll wed by Michaelmas. My stomach twisted, John's face leering in my mind, his hands heavy, his breath sour with ale. I nodded, my voice silent. The law of coverture, a noose my wages. My body, my name would be his. Bess, 15, her eyes wide, whispered, he's old, Agnes. But Father's glare silenced her. The King's tax, doubled to fund his wars, left our loom bare, our coin gone. We need John's purse, Father said, and I felt the weight of Norwich, its hunger my chain. I stepped outside, the rain cold, my cloak thin, my cap hiding my hair, its dark braid a scandal if loose. The well was a mile's walk, the bucket heavy, my arm strong but sore. Widow Marjorie's cottage stood near, its door shut, her herbs drying under the eaves. The parish whispered her remedies for fever, her teas for childbirth. Her knowledge marked her strange witch. The alehouse men hissed, and I shivered. Her fate a warning. Marjorie had birthed me, her hand steady, but now her eyes were wary, her voice low. Agnes, she called, her face lined. Mind the parish. They hunt for sin. I nodded, my heart racing, her warning a spark. The market hummed, its stalls lean, the air thick with mud and gossip. I sold our cloths, its weave tight, my hands raw from the loom. A merchant's wife, her face painted white with ceruse, her cheeks red with vermilion, eyed my work. Good weave, she said, her voice sharp, but your hands are rough. Marry soon, girl, or you'll end a spinster. I bit my tongue. Her lead-painted face a mask, her beauty a poison I couldn't afford. My wages, a few pennies, went to father's purse, my labor his by law. The church loomed, its bells loud, and I knelt, my prayers quick, my heart heavy. God saw my work. But England didn't. Dusk fell. John's boots heavy at our door, his face red, his cloak rich with tanner's grease. Agnes, he grinned, his teeth black, his hand gripping mine. You'll make a fine wife. My throat tightened, his touch a claim, my body not mine. Father nodded. Bess paled, and John's coin sealed the betrothal, my freedom sold. A good match, Father said, but I saw the loom, its threads my life. Now cut, Marjorie's warning echoed, the parish's eyes sharp, and I felt the sense tide, its pull a threat. A cry pierced the night, sharp from Marjorie's cottage, and my heart stopped. Torches flared, the parish men's voices loud. Witch, witch. I ran, Bess at my side, Father shouting, stay, Agnes. Marjorie stood, her hands raised, her eyes fierce. I heal, not harm, she cried. But the men seized her, their ropes tight, the priest's voice harsh. Her herbs curse babes, he said, and the crowd roared, their fear of fire. I stepped forward, my voice loud, trembling. Marjorie saved my mother, I shouted, but John's hand pulled me back, his grip iron. Quiet, girl, he hissed, and I felt the law, its weight my silence. The parish square burned with torches. Marjorie bound, her face calm, her voice low. "Agnes," she whispered, her eyes meeting mine. "Weave your truth." I nodded, tears falling, her courage a spark. The men dragged her away, the priest's prayers cold, and I stood, my hands clenched. Bess's hand in mine. John's voice growled, "You'll learn silence." But I felt Marjorie's fire, Jeanne's echo in my blood. I'd weave again. For Bess, for Marjorie, for me, a thread that wouldn't break. The fog clung to Norwich, its streets cloaked in a damp chill, the air heavy with the reek of tanneries and fear. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter. 23, my hands raw from the loom, my heart pounding with Widow Marjorie's fate. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women were bound by law and lash, our voices drowned by church bells and men's decrees. Marjorie, our healer, was chained in the parish jail, accused of witchcraft, her herbs branded curses. My betrothal to John the Tanner, a man whose grip bruised my wrist, loomed like a noose. His coin, my father's salvation from the king's tax. Norwich simmered, its people hungry, their whispers of revolt against Henry's gold stirring the market square. Now, a new shadow fell Marjorie's trial at dawn. John's demand for my silence, and a riot brewing in Norwich, a fire that could free or burn us all. Dawn broke gray, the church bells harsh, their clang a summons to Marjorie's doom. My straw mattress was cold, Bess's breath soft beside me, her face pale with fear. I rose, my shift damp, my feet hard against the dirt floor. The chickens clucking, their eggs scarce. The hearth was ash, my flint unsteady, but I sparked a fire, its warmth faint. My hands trembling, pottage bubbled, oats thin. No leaks today, the garden was bare. Father sat, his cough deep, his eyes on the loom, its threads our lifeline. "Agnes," he said, his voice low. "John's right. Speak no more of Marjorie. Her fate's God's will." My throat tightened. Marjorie's whisper, weave your truth a spark in my chest. But I nodded. The law of coverture, my chain. I stepped into the fog, my cloak sodden, my cap tight, my braid hidden. The well's water was heavy, my arm strong but sore. The path past Marjorie's cottage dark, its herbs gone. Trampled by the parish men, Bess trailed me, her voice a whisper. "Agnes, they'll burn her," she said, her eyes wet. I clasped her hand, my heart racing. "We'll try." "Bess," I said, my voice low. Marjorie's courage, my guide. The market hummed, its stalls lean, the air thick with mud and anger. Men muttered of the king's tax, their fists clenched. Women whispering of Marjorie's teas, her hands that saved their babes. A merchant's wife, her face white with carouse, hissed. She cursed my milk, and I bit my tongue. Her lead-painted mask a lie. At the jail, the guard's eyes were hard, his voice gruff. No visitors, he said, but I slipped him a penny, my market earnings, and he turned away. Marjorie sat, her wrists bound, her face calm, her eyes fierce. Agnes, she whispered, they fear what women know. Find my book herbs. Remedies hide it. I nodded, tears falling, her knowledge aflame. I'll speak for you, I said, but she shook her head. Speak for all, child. Weave their trust. The guard's shout drove me out, my heart pounding. Her book a secret I'd guard. Noon brought John to our door, his boots heavy, his face red, his hand gripping my arm. You went to the witch, he growled, his breath sour. You'll learn obedience, Agnes, or I'll teach it. My stomach twisted, his threat a blade. But I met his eyes, my voice steady. I sought truth, not harm, I said. And he raised his hand. Father's shout stopping him. Enough! John, father rasped. But John's smile was cold. She's mine by Michaelmas, he said, and left, his coin heavy in father's purse. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. Don't marry him, Agnes, she said. But the tax, the loom, my silence were my chains. The market square flared at dusk, torches bright, men shouting, no more tax. Women stood, their faces hard, their hands clutching baskets, their voices low. A baker's wife, her apron stained, whispered, they starve us for the king's wars. I nodded, my heart racing. Marjorie's trial a spark, the tax afire. A man, Tom the smith, climbed a cart, his voice loud. We'll march to the guild hall. He roared, and the crowd cheered, their pitchforks raised. Bess pulled my sleeve, her eyes wide. Agnes, it's danger, she said. But I saw Marjorie's face, her book hidden in my shift, its pages my truth. I slipped to Marjorie's cottage, the fog thick, my breath quick. Her book lay under the hearth, its pages worn, herbs and prayers in her hand. I tucked it close, my heart pounding, its weight a vow. A shout rang out, sharp from the square, and I ran, the crowd swelling, torches flaring. Tom's voice roared, to the guild hall. but the parish men charged, their clubs heavy, the crowd scattering. I pulled Bess back, her hand cold, my voice low. "Stay close," I said, but a guard's eyes met mine, his voice harsh. "You." Weaver's girl, halt. I froze. Marjorie's book a brand, the riot a trap. Claire, the baker's wife, stepped forward, her face fierce. "She's with me." She lied, her hand on mine, and the guard wavered, his club lowered. We slipped away, Bess trembling. The square a storm. At home, Father's face was grim, his voice low. "No more. Agnes, John's wrath. The king's men, you'll bring us ruin." I nodded, my throat tight, but Marjorie's book burned against my skin. Its remedy's my fire. I hid it under the loom. Bess's eyes wide, her voice a whisper. "We'll save her, Agnes," she said, and I clasped her hand, her courage my light. Dawn loomed, Marjorie's trial near, the parish bells loud, Norwich awake with fear and fire. John's threat, the riot's echo, the book's secrets weighed heavy, but I felt Marjorie's spark. Jean's blood in my veins, I'd weave again. For Marjorie, for Bess, for Norwich's women, a thread that wouldn't break. Dawn broke sharp over Norwich, its rooftops veiled in mist, the air thick with the stench of ash and dread. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands scarred from the loom, my heart heavy with widow Marjorie's fate. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and fear, our voices silenced by men's fists and church decrees. Marjorie, our healer, stood trial today, her herbs branded witchcraft, her life a spark in Norwich's fog, my betrothal to John the Tanner, his grip a chain, tightened with his suspicions of my visit to Marjorie's jail. The riot against the king's tax had crumbled, its leaders seized, their torches snuffed by royal men from London. Now, a new shadow fell Marjorie's trial in the Guildhall, John's wrath at my defiance, and a royal sheriff's hunt for rebels, a fire that could consume us all. The church bells tolled, their clang a noose, summoning Norwich to Marjorie's trial. My straw mattress was damp, Bess's breath quick beside me, her eyes red from tears. I rose, my shift clinging, my feet numb on the dirt floor. The chickens silent, their eggs gone stolen or lost to hunger. The hearth was cold, my flint unsteady, but I sparked a flame, its light faint, my hands raw. Pottage simmered, oats thinner than water. No herbs today, the market was bare. Father sat, his cough wet, his face gaunt, his eyes on the loom. Its threads our survival. "Agnes," he whispered, his voice broken. "Stay silent at the trial. John's watching. The sheriff too." My throat burned. Marjorie's book her herbs, her prayers hidden under the loom, its weight a vow. But I nodded. "Coverture, my cage." I stepped into the mist, my cloak heavy, my cap tight, my braid a secret. Marjorie's book pressed against my ribs, its pages my courage, its remedies my truth. Bess clung to my arm, her voice low. "Agnes, they'll kill her," she said, her hands trembling. I squeezed her hand, my heart racing. "We'll speak." "Bess," I said, my voice a thread. Marjorie's spark my guide. The guild hall loomed, its doors guarded, the crowd thick with fear and whispers. Women stood, their faces lined, their hands clutching rosaries. Men muttering of the sheriff's swords, the king's wrath. Claire, the baker's wife, caught my eye, her face fierce. "Speak for her." "Agnes," she whispered, and I nodded, her trust aflame. The guild hall was dim, its air sour with sweat and wax. The priest's voice loud, his cross high. Marjorie stood, her wrists bound, her face calm, her eyes meeting mine. "Widow Marjorie," the priest thundered, "you brew curses, spoil babes, defy God." The crowd gasped. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, shouting. She hexed my milk. I clenched my fists. Her lead-painted lie a poison. Marjorie's voice was steady. "I heal, not harm," she said. But the priest waved a vial, her juniper tea, as proof of sin. John stood near, his eyes hard, his hand on his belt, his threat clear. I stepped forward, my voice trembling, loud. "Marjorie saved my mother, my sister," I said, and Claire nodded, her voice rising. "She eased my birth." The crowd stirred, some cheering, others hissing. The priest's face red, the sheriff, his cloak rich, his sword heavy, stood, his voice cold. Silence. "Weaver's girl," he said, his eyes sharp. "You're seen with rebels, mind your tongue." My stomach twisted. The riots echo a noose. Marjorie's book, a brand. Bess gripped my hand, her breath quick, and I felt John's stare, his wrath a blade. The priest read charges, herbs for fever, teas for pain, all twisted to curses. I raised my hand, my voice clear. "Her teas saved lives," I said. But John seized my arm, his grip iron, pulling me back. Enough. Agnes, he growled, and the crowd hushed, my defiance a spark. The sheriff's men laughed, their voices low, a scold's tongue, and the priest nodded. Marjorie's fate sealed. A shout broke the hall, sharp from the square, torches flaring, men's voices roaring, "Free the rebels!" The crowd surged, women screaming, guards drawing swords. Claire pushed me toward the door, her face fierce. "Go, Agnes," she cried, and I pulled Bess. Marjorie's eyes locked on mine, her nod a whisper weaved. We fled. The Guildhall chaos, the sheriff's men striking, their clubs red. John's voice roared, "Agnes." But I ran, Bess at my side. The fog thick, Marjorie's book, my shield. The square burned. Men fighting, women shielding children. The king's men heavy, their armor bright. Tom the smith lay, his face bloodied, his banner torn. The fog outside. At home, father's face grim, his hands shaking. "You've cursed us, Agnes," he shouted, his cough raw. John's fury, the sheriff's hunt, "You'll doom us." I knelt, tears falling, Marjorie's book hidden, its secret safe. I spoke truth. "Father," I said, my voice steady, and he nodded, his eyes wet. "Hide, child," he whispered. Bess crept close, her voice soft. "What now, Agnes?" she asked. I clasped her hand, her courage my light. "We'll save Marjorie," I said, my heart pounding. The trial's verdict due at dusk. John's wrath near. The sheriff's men at our heels. Dusk fell. John's boots loud at our door. His face dark. His hand raised. "You shamed me, Agnes," he growled, his breath sour, his belt swinging. Father stood, his voice weak. "She's yours." "John, teach her." My stomach churned. Coverture my chain. But I met his eyes, my voice loud. I spoke for truth, not shame. I said, and he lunged. Bess's scream sharp. Claire burst in, her face fierce, a knife in her hand. "Leave her, Tanner," she shouted. And John froze, his eyes narrow. "You'll pay, Weaver," he hissed, and left, his threat a fire. The bells tolled. Marjorie's verdict near, the square quiet. Norwich bruised by riot and fear. Claire's hand was firm, her voice low. "We'll stand for her, Agnes," she said, and I nodded. Marjorie's book my vow, Bess's courage my flame. I'd weave again for Marjorie. For Norwich's women, a thread that wouldn't break. Twilight cloaked Norwich, its streets hushed under a starless sky, the air thick with the tang of blood and dread. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands knotted from the loom, my heart raw with Widow Marjorie's trial. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were shackled by law and fear, our truths buried beneath men's decrees. Marjorie's verdict loomed, her herbs branded witchcraft, her fate a mirror to Norwich's trembling soul. John the Tanner, my betrothed, his wrath a blade after my defiance at the Guildhall, now whispered my name to the parish men, his vengeance a spark for my ruin. The riot's embers cooled, its rebels chained, the king's sheriff tightening his grip on Norwich. Now, a new shadow fell, Marjorie's fate sealed at dusk. John's accusation of my disloyalty, and a parish hunt for new witches, a fire that could burn me alive. The Guildhall's bells tolled, their echo a dirge, summoning Norwich to Marjorie's verdict. My straw mattress was cold, Bess's breath shallow beside me, her face etched with fear. I rose, my shift damp, my feet numb on the dirt floor, the chickens silent, their nests empty. Hunger had claimed their eggs. The hearth was ash, my flint steady now, sparking a flame, its warmth faint. My hands trembling, pottage bubbled, oats and water. No salt today, the market was gone. Father sat, his cough ragged, his eyes hollow, his hands on the loom, its threads our last hope. Agnes, he whispered, his voice cracked. John says you're tainted by Marjorie. Stay home. Child, the sheriff's men hunt. My throat burned. Marjorie's book her herbs, her prayers hidden under the loom, its secrets my shield. But I nodded. Coverture my cage. I slipped into the dusk, my cloak heavy, my cap tight, my braid a secret. Marjorie's book pressed against my heart, its pages my vow, its remedies my fire. Bess followed, her voice a whisper. Agnes, they'll take you too, she said, her eyes wet. I clasped her hand, my heart pounding. We'll stand for Marjorie, I said, my voice a thread, her spark my guide. The Guildhall swelled, its doors barred, the crowd thick with whispers and fear. Women stood, their faces gaunt, their hands clutching shawls, men muttering of the sheriff's wrath, the king's gold. Claire, the baker's wife, gripped my arm, her face fierce. They'll name you next. Agnes, she warned, and I nodded, her loyalty aflame. The Guildhall's doors creaked, the priest's voice harsh, his cross glinting. Marjorie stood, her wrists raw, her face serene, her eyes locked on mine. "Widow Marjorie," the priest roared, "you're guilty of witchcraft. To burn at dawn." The crowd gasped. Women weeping, men shouting. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, smirking. God's justice. My stomach twisted. Her lead-painted lie of venom. Marjorie's voice was clear. "I healed Norwich's babes," she said. And Claire stepped forward, her voice loud. "She saved my son." I joined her, my voice breaking. Her herbs eased my mother's fever. But the sheriff's men seized Marjorie, their hands rough, her body frail. And John's voice rang out, sharp. "Agnes weaves with her. Priest, she's tainted." The crowd turned, their eyes sharp. My name a curse. The sheriff, his sword heavy, his cloak rich, stepped forward, his voice cold. "Weaver's girl, your name," he said, his eyes narrow. "Search her home." My heart stopped. Marjorie's book a noose, John's betrayal a blade. Bess clung to me, her breath quick, and Claire whispered, "Run." "Agnes." I shook my head, my voice steady. "I'll face them," I said, and the crowd parted, their whispers venom. John's face smug, his hand on his belt. The priest nodded, his voice low. "Bring her at dawn," he said, and the sheriff's men laughed, their boots heavy. The guild hall a trap. A scream tore the square, sharp from the crowd. Torches flaring, women's voices rising. "Free Marjorie," Claire roared, her knife flashing. And the women surged, their shawls falling, their hands clawing. The sheriff's men struck, their clubs red. But I pulled Bess back, my voice low. "Hide." "Bess." She nodded, tears falling, and slipped into the fog. Her courage, my light. I ran, Marjorie's book my burden. The square chaos, John's voice roaring, "Seize her!" Claire fought, her face bloodied, her knife lost, and I reached our hovel. Father's face grim, his hands shaking. "They're coming, Agnes," he said, his cough wet. I hid the book under the loom, its pages safe, my heart racing. The sheriff's men crashed through our door, their boots heavy, their swords drawn. "Where's the book?" "Weaver," the leader growled, his eyes hard. I stood, my voice clear. "I've no book but prayers," I said, and Father nodded, his face pale. They tore the hovel, the loom untouched, its shadows my shield. John entered, his face dark, his hand raised. "She lies. Sheriff, she's Marjorie's kin in sin," he shouted, and the sheriff's eyes narrowed. His voice cold. "You'll answer at dawn. Girl." They left, their boots loud, the hovel broken, Bess creeping back, her face white. "Agnes," she whispered. "What now?" I clasped her hand, my voice steady. "We'll save Marjorie. And us," I said, my heart pounding. The dawn near. John's lie afire. Claire slipped in, her arm bloodied, her face fierce. The women stand. "Agnes," she said, her voice low. "We'll march at dawn for Marjorie, for you." I nodded, tears falling. Her fire my guide. We planned, our voices soft. The loom's threads our vow. Marjorie's book stayed hidden, its remedies my truth. Bess's courage my flame. The bells tolled, dawn breaking, Norwich awake with fear and fire. John's betrayal, the sheriff's hunt. Marjorie's pyre loomed, but I felt her spark. Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again, for Marjorie, for Bess, for Norwich's women, a thread that wouldn't break. Dawn bled red over Norwich, its cobbles slick with dew, the air thick with the stench of smoke and despair. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands raw from the loom, my heart a furnace for widow Marjorie's life. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women were bound by chains of law and fear, our voices crushed by church and crown. Marjorie, our healer, was condemned to burn at noon, her herbs branded witchcraft, her pyre a warning to Norwich's women. John the tanner, my betrothed, had named me tainted, his accusation a noose tightening with my trial at dawn. The women of Norwich, Clare, Bess, and others planned a march to free Marjorie. Their courage a spark in the fog. Now, a new shadow fell my trial in the Guildhall. The discovery of Marjorie's book in our hovel, and a parish divided between fear and fire, a blaze that could save or doom us all. The Guildhall's bells tolled, their clang a blade, summoning Norwich to my reckoning. My straw mattress was cold, Bess's breath quick beside me, her eyes wide with terror. I rose, my shift sodden, my feet numb on the dirt floor, the chickens silent. Their nest's barren hunger had stolen their spark. The hearth was ash, my flint trembling. But I sparked a flame, its light faint, my hands scarred. Pottage simmered, oats and water. No warmth today, the market was dead. Father sat, his cough a rattle, his face ashen. his hands limp by the loom. Its threads our ruin. Agnes, he whispered, his voice gone. The sheriff found Marjorie's book. You're lost, child. My heart stopped. The book her herbs, her prayers my vow, now my doom. But I knelt, my voice steady. I'll face them, Father, I said. Coverture my cage. The sheriff's men came, their boots heavy, their hands rough, dragging me to the guild hall. Bess clung to me, her scream sharp, but Father pulled her back, his eyes wet. Stay, Bess, I said, my voice a thread. Marjorie's spark, my guide. The square swelled, its crowd thick with whispers. Women's faces gaunt, men's eyes hard. Claire stood, her arm bandaged, her face fierce, her knife hidden. We're with you, Agnes, she whispered. And I nodded, her fire my shield. The guild hall was dim, its air sour with wax and fear. The priest's voice thunder, his cross high, Agnes, weaver's daughter. He roared, you harbor a witch's book. Defy God. He held Marjorie's book, its pages torn, its herbs spilling, and the crowd gasped. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, hissing, burn her. My stomach twisted, her lead-painted lie a poison. John stood, his face smug, his hand on his belt, his voice loud. She's Marjorie's kin in sin, he said, and the sheriff nodded, his sword glinting, his voice cold. Speak, girl, confess. My throat burned. Marjorie's pyre hours away, her eyes in my mind, her whisper weave their trust. I stood, my voice clear, trembling. Marjorie's book heals, not harms, I said. Her teas saved your babes, your wives. Claire stepped forward, her voice fierce. She eased my birth, a seamstress, her hands chapped, nodded. Her herbs cured my fever. The crowd stirred, women's voices rising, men's murmurs sharp. The priest's face red. Blasphemy, he shouted. But I held Marjorie's book, its pages my truth, my heart pounding. The sheriff seized the book, his eyes narrow, his voice low. You'll burn with her, weaver, he said. And John laughed, his betrayal a blade. A horn blared, sharp from the square. Torches flaring, women's voices roaring. Free Marjorie, free Agnes. Claire's knife flashed, her face fierce, and the women surged, their shawls falling, their hands clawing guards. Bess slipped through, her face pale, her voice loud. Agnes speaks truth. The priest faltered, his cross trembling. The sheriff's men drawing swords, their armor bright. I ran to Claire, my voice loud. To Marjorie's pyre, I cried, and the women roared, their courage a storm, the Guildhall chaos. The square burned, its pyre unlit. Marjorie bound, her face calm, her eyes meeting mine. Agnes, she whispered, you wove their hearts. I nodded, tears falling, her fire my guide. The sheriff's men charged, their clubs heavy, but the women held, their bodies a wall. Claire's knife red, Bess's hands fierce. A guard lunged, his sword at my throat, but Claire struck, her arm bloodied, her voice raw. Run, Agnes, she cried, and I pulled Marjorie free, her wrists raw, her body frail. We fled, Bess at my side, the square ablaze, women fighting, men falling, the sheriff's voice roaring. Seize them! We reached the river, its waters dark, its banks slick. Norwich's fog our shield. Marjorie knelt, her breath short, her voice low. Hide, Agnes, take my book. Teach its truth. I nodded, her book in my hands, its pages my vow. Bess clung to me, her face white, her voice soft. Where now, Agnes? She asked. I looked at the fog, Claire's scream echoing. The sheriff's men near. To the marshes, I said, my heart racing. Marjorie sparked my light. We ran. The river's tide a song. Norwich's bells fading. The pyre unlit. The women's fire alive. At dusk, we hid. The marshes cold, their reeds sharp. Marjorie's breath weak. Claire found us, her face bloodied, her knife gone, her voice low. The women held. Agnes Norwich speaks your name. I nodded, tears falling, their courage my flame. Marjorie smiled, her eyes dim, her hand on mine. Weave on, child, she whispered, and her breath stopped, her fire free. I buried her, the book safe, Bess's hand in mine, Claire's face fierce, John's betrayal, the sheriff's hunt. The king's wrath loomed, but I felt Marjorie's spark. Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again. For Marjorie, for Bess, for Norwich's women, a thread that wouldn't break. The marshes stretched endless under a moonless sky, their reeds sharp. The air thick with the reek of mud and decay. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands raw from the loom, my heart heavy with widow Marjorie's death. It was 1535. Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and lash, our truths buried under men's decrees. Marjorie, our healer, was gone. Her body at rest in the marsh, her book, her herbs, her prayers in my hands, a vow to carry her fire. John the tanner, my betrothed, and the sheriff hunted me. Their accusations of witchcraft, a noose tightening, Norwich's women, led by Clare, held firm, their march a spark against the king's men. Now, a new shadow fell, a smuggler's offer of shelter, a secret tied to the crown, and a parish closing in, a blaze that could forge or break us. Night cloaked the marshes, their waters cold, their whispers sharp. Bess clung to me, her breath quick, her face pale under the mud we'd smeared to hide. Clare led, her arm bloodied, her eyes fierce, her knife tucked close. Marjorie's book pressed against my ribs, its pages my shield, its remedies my truths. The sheriff's hounds bayed, their howls faint but near, John's voice echoing in my mind. You'll burn, weaver. My feet sank in the mire, my shift torn, my cap lost, my braid loose, a scandal if seen, a beacon for hunters. Bess stumbled, her voice a whisper. Agnes, we'll die here, she said, her eyes wet. I clasped her hand, my heart racing. We'll live, Bess. I said, Marjorie's spark my guide. Clare halted, her hand raised, her voice low. Tracks end here, she said, her eyes scanning the reeds. A light flickered, sharp in the fog, and a man stepped forward, his cloak dark, his face scarred, his voice rough. You're the weaver's girl, he said, his eyes on Marjorie's book. I'm Rafe, a free man of the marshes. I offer shelter, but it's not free. My stomach twisted, his gaze hard, his hand on a dagger. What price? I asked, my voice steady. He grinned, his teeth black. A secret for the crown letters I carry. Bound for London, naming traitors. Swear silence, and you're safe. Clare's knife glinted, her voice sharp. We trust no man, she said, but I nodded. Marjorie's fire my light. We swear, I said, and Rafe led us. His light a trap or a hope. His hovel was dry, its walls reed, its hearth warm, a luxury after the marsh. Rafe's eyes watched, his hands quick, his letters hidden in a sack. You're hunted, weaver, he said, his voice low. The sheriff names you witch. John claims you stole his coin. My throat burned. John's lie a blade. coverture his chain. Bess sat, her hands trembling, her voice soft. Agnes, what now? I knelt, Marjorie's book open, its pages worn. We learn her truth, I said, my finger tracing her words. Juniper for fever, yarrow for wounds. Claire nodded, her face fierce. We'll spread her knowledge. Agnes Norwich's women will heal. I smiled. Her courage, my flame. But Rafe's voice cut through. Sharp. Mind the crown. Girl, those letters name Norwich men. Rebels against the king. Dawn broke. It's light gray. The marshes quiet. The hound's gone for now. Rafe left. His letters heavy. His warning clear betray him. And we'd burn. I studied Marjorie's book. Its remedies simple. Its prayers fierce. Her hand in every line. Bess brewed yarrow tea. Her hands steady. Her eyes bright. It's good. Agnes, she said. And I nodded. Her spark, my hope. Claire bound her arm. Her voice low. The women gather in Norwich. Agnes, they whisper your name. Marjorie's fire. My heart swelled. Their trust a thread, but the marsh trembled. Hooves loud. The sheriff's men near. A horn blared. Sharp through the reeds, and Rafe burst in. His face pale. They've tracked you. He gasped, his dagger drawn. Hide the book. I tucked it under my shift. Its weight my vow. And Claire pushed Bess behind the hearth. Her knife ready. The sheriff's men crashed through. Their armor bright. Their swords high. Weaver's girl. The leader roared. His eyes hard. You're named witch. Thief. Rebel. John stood behind, his face smug, his hand pointing. She's mine. Sheriff, she shamed me. My stomach churned. His betrayal a noose. But I stood, my voice clear. I heal, not harm, I said. Marjorie's words my shield. The sheriff laughed. His hand on Marjorie's book, its pages torn from my shift. This damns you, he said. And Bess screamed, her voice raw. Claire lunged, her knife grazing the sheriff's arm, her face fierce. She's no witch, she cried, and the men seized her, their hands rough. Bess wept, her hands clawing, but I stepped forward, my voice loud. Her book saved your wives, your babes, I said, and the men faltered, their eyes narrow. A woman's voice rang out, sharp from the marsh, Norwich's women, their shawls high, their hands fierce, free Agnes. They roared, their torches flaring, their bodies a wall. The sheriff's men froze, their swords heavy. and Rafe stepped forward, his voice low. "Let them go. Sheriff, or your name joins my letters to London." The sheriff's face paled, his hand trembling, and he nodded. His men retreating, John's face dark, his curse loud. The marsh is cleared, the women's torches bright, their faces lined but fierce. Claire stood, her arm bloodied, her smile sharp. "We're yours, Agnes," she said, and I nodded. Tears falling, their fire my guide. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. "We're free, Agnes," she said, and I smiled, her courage my light. Rafe handed me the book, his eyes hard. "Keep your vow, Weaver," he said, and vanished, his letters a shadow. Norwich's women gathered, their hands strong, their voices low. "Teach us, Agnes," they said, and I opened Marjorie's book, its pages my truth, their trust my thread. Dusk fell, the marshes quiet, Norwich's bells faint. The sheriff's hunt stalled for now. John's wrath, the king's men, Rafe's secret loomed, but I felt Marjorie's spark, Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again, for Bess, for Claire, for Norwich's women, a thread that wouldn't break. The marshes of Norwich whispered under a sickle moon, their reeds swaying, the air heavy with the scent of peat and salt. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands scarred from the loom, my heart burning with Widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and fear, our truths woven in secret. Marjorie's book her herbs, her prayers was my vow, its remedies a spark for Norwich's women. John the Tanner, my betrothed, hunted me, his accusations of witchcraft a blade sharpened by betrayal. Claire and Bess led the women, their courage a fire against the sheriff's men. Rafe, the smuggler, had vanished, his letters naming traitors a shadow over the crown. Now, a new shadow fell John's final vengeance. Rafe's letters revealed a plot against the king, a storm that could weave or unravel us all. Dawn crept gray, the marshes cold, their waters still. I sat in a widow's hovel, its walls mud, its hearth faint. Norwich's women gathered close. Claire's arm was bound, her face fierce, her knife tucked away. Bess, her hands steady, brewed yarrow tea from Marjorie's book, its steam a prayer. The women seamstresses, alewives, mothers listened, their faces lined, their eyes bright. "Teach us, Agnes," said Ellen, a midwife, her hands chapped. I opened the book. its pages worn. Marjorie's hand cleared juniper for fever, chamomile for pain. "This heals," I said, my voice steady. "Not curses." Claire nodded, her voice low. "We'll spread it." Agnes, every hovel, every market, my heart swelled, their trust a thread. But the marsh trembled, hooves faint, the sheriff's men near. Bess handed me tea, her eyes sharp. "Agnes, John's in Norwich," she whispered, "naming you to the priest." My stomach twisted. Coverture his chain, his wrath a noose. I clasped her hand, my voice soft. "We'll outlast him." "Bess," I said, Marjorie's spark my guide. Ellen spoke, her voice firm. "The women hide you. Agnes hovels, cellars, looms." I nodded, tears falling. "Their fire my shield." A knock rattled the door, sharp, and Claire's knife flashed, her face tense. Rafe stepped in, his cloak wet, his face pale, his letters gone. "The sheriff has them," he gasped, his voice rough. "They name Norwich men rebels, traitors to the king. Your name's there. Weaver." Tied to Marjorie's book, my heart stopped. The crown's wrath a blade, Marjorie's truth my doom. The women hushed, their eyes wide, Claire's voice sharp. "What plot?" "Smuggler," she demanded. Rafe knelt, his hands open. "A lord in London, against Henry's Rome," he said. "Norwich men join, their coin for swords. Your book, Agnes, they say its code." I clutched the book, its pages innocent, my voice loud. "It's healing, not treason." Rafe nodded, his eyes hard. "Prove it, or we burn." Bess trembled, her voice soft. "Agnes." "What now?" I stood, my heart racing. "We faced them," I said. "In Norwich, with truth." Claire gripped my arm, her face fierce. "We march at dusk," she said, and the women nodded, their hands strong, their voices a vow. Dusk fell, Norwich's streets dim, its cobbles slick with rain. The women moved, their shawls low, their baskets hiding herbs yarrow. Chamomile, Marjorie's gift. I led, the book under my shift, its weight my fire. Bess walked close, her eyes bright, Claire's knife ready. The market square loomed, its torches faint. The guild hall guarded. John stood, his face red, his voice loud. The priest beside him. "There," he roared, pointing. "The witches ken." The crowd turned, their whispers venom. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse. Hissing. Seize her. My throat burned. Her lead-painted lie a poison. But I stepped forward, my voice clear. Marjorie's book heals your babes, I said, and Claire raised her basket. Herbs spilling, see truth, she cried, and the women joined, their voices a storm. The sheriff emerged, his sword high, his face grim, Rafe's letters in his hand. You're named Weaver, he said. In treason's ink, I held the book high, its pages open, my voice loud. Read it, Sheriff Herbs. Prayers, no codes. The crowd hushed, their eyes sharp. The priest's face pale. Ellen stepped forward, her voice firm. Her tease saved my daughter. A seamstress nodded. Her salve healed my burns. The sheriff faltered, his hand trembling. The letters heavy. John lunged, his hand raised, his voice raw. She shames me, he shouted. But Claire's knife pressed his throat, her face fierce. Enough, Tanner, she hissed, and the crowd gasped. John's face white, his belt falling. A horn blared, sharp from the Guildhall. Royal men in armor, their swords bright. Hold, their leader roared. His cloak rich, his voice cold. The king's justice comes. My heart sank. The crown's shadow a noose. But Rafe stepped forward, his voice low. Read the letters. Captain, they name no weaver, only lords. The captain seized them, his eyes narrow, his voice sharp. Norwich rebels, not her, he said, and the sheriff nodded, his face pale. John roared, his hand seizing my arm. But Bess struck, her hands fierce, her voice loud. Leave her. The women surged, their hands clawing. John falling, his curse drowned. The captain turned, his eyes hard. You're free, Weaver, he said. But mind the crown? I nodded, tears falling. Marjorie's book safe, the women's fire, my shield. John lay, his face bloodied, his wrath broken. The priest silent, his cross low. Claire gripped my arm, her voice low. We've won, Agnes, she said, and Bess smiled, her eyes bright. For Marjorie, she whispered, and I nodded. Their courage, my flame. The women gathered, their baskets full, their voices soft. We'll heal, Agnes, Ellen said. And I opened the book. Its pages my truth, their trust my thread. Night fell, Norwich quiet, its bells soft. The sheriff's hunt gone for now. Rafe vanished, his letters clear, the crown's shadow faint. John's betrayal, the king's men, the priest's fear lingered. But I felt Marjorie's spark, Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again, for Bess, for Claire, for Norwich's women, a thread that wouldn't break. The fog draped Norwich, its streets hushed under a frost-bitten dawn, the air sharp with the tang of wood smoke and earth. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands rough from the loom, my heart alight with Widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and fear. Our truths whispered in shadows. Marjorie's book, her herbs, her prayers was my vow. Its remedies a flame for Norwich's women, now a secret network of healers. John the Tanner, my former betrothed, was broken, his accusations of witchcraft silenced in the square. Claire and Bess stood firm, their courage a shield against the sheriff's lingering gaze. Rafe, the smuggler, was gone. His letters cleared, but whispers of the crown's wrath lingered. Now, a new shadow fell Rafe's return with word of a royal inquest, a choice to flee or fight, and a parish teetering on hope, a thread that could bind or break us. Dawn broke cold, the marshes quiet, their reeds brittle under frost. I sat in Ellen's hovel, its walls mud, its hearth warm. Norwich's women gathered close. Claire's arm was healing, her face fierce, her knife tucked away. Bess, now 16, her hands deft, crushed chamomile from Marjorie's book. It sent a prayer. The women midwives, weavers, alewives listened, their faces worn, their eyes bright. Yarrow for wounds, I said, my voice steady, tracing Marjorie's words. Juniper for fever. Ellen, the midwife, nodded, her hands strong. My daughter lives because of this, she said, and I smiled. Their trust a thread. Bess handed me tea, her eyes sharp. Agnes, I want to heal too, she said, her voice firm. My heart swelled, her spark my hope, but Claire's voice cut through. Lo, the sheriff watches. Agnes men talk of royal men coming. My stomach twisted. Coverture a ghost, the crown's shadow a noose. I clasped Bess's hand, my voice soft. You'll learn, Bess, I said. Marjorie's fire, my guide. A knock rattled the door, sharp, and Claire's knife flashed, her face tense. Rafe stepped in, his cloak sodden, his face gaunt, his eyes hard. The king's men come, he said, his voice rough. An inquest, Norwich's rebels, Marjorie's book. Your name? Weaver. My heart stopped. The book under my shift. Its pages my truth. Now a brand. Why warn us? Claire demanded. Her knife steady. Rafe knelt. His hands open. I owe you. Weaver, your silence saved my letters. But the crown seeks witches. Traitors flee, or face them. Bess trembled, her voice soft. Agnes, we can't run, she said. And I nodded. Their courage my flame. The women hushed, their eyes wide. Ellen's voice firm. We hide you. Agnes cellars, lofts, marshes. I shook my head, my voice clear. We stay, I said. We heal. We prove Marjorie's truth. Claire gripped my arm, her face fierce. We'll spread the book. Agnes, every woman, every hovel. I nodded, tears falling. Their fire my shield. Rafe's eyes narrowed, his voice low. The inquest comes in 3 days, mind the priest. He names you still. He left, his cloak a shadow, his warning a weight. Bess crushed Yarrow, her hands steady, her voice soft. I'll teach with you, Agnes, she said, and I smiled. Her light my guide. Noon brought Norwich's market, its stalls lean, the air thick with gossip and frost. I moved, my shawl low, my braid hidden. Marjorie's book safe in Ellen's hovel. Bess walked close, her basket full chamomile. Yarrow, Marjorie's gift. Claire bartered, her voice sharp, her eyes scanning for guards. A seamstress, her hands rough, slipped me cloth, her voice low. My son's fever, Agnes, your tea. I nodded, handing her juniper, her eyes grateful. The priest watched, his cross glinting, his face pale. A merchant's wife beside him, her face white with ceruse, her whisper cruel. She's Marjorie's witch, she hissed, and my pulse quickened. Her lead-painted lie a spark. The crowd murmured, their eyes sharp. But Claire's knife flashed, and we slipped away, the square tense. Dusk fell. Ellen's hovel crowded, the women's candles low, their voices soft. I taught, Marjorie's words clear salve for burns, tea for birth. Bess listened, her hands deft, her questions sharp, her courage bright. Why chamomile calms? She asked, and I smiled, showing her notes. Marjorie's hand in mine. Claire stood guard, her face fierce, her voice low. The women learn. Agnes York women send word. They want Marjorie's book. My heart raced. A network beyond Norwich. We'll reach them, I said. their fire my thread. A scream tore the night, sharp from the square, torches flaring, men's voices loud. Search the hovels. Claire's knife flashed, her eyes hard. The sheriff, she whispered, and I hid. The book under my shift, Bess's hand in mine. The inquest near. The sheriff's men crashed through, their boots heavy, their shouts raw. Weaver's book. The leader roared, his eyes hard. His Agnes, hand on his sword. I stood, my voice clear. We heal, not harm. Ellen nodded, her face calm, her hands hiding herbs. No witches here, she said, and the sheriff faltered. His eyes lingered, sharp. A woman's voice rang out, soft from the crowd, Norwich's women, their shawls low, their hands high, chanting, Marjorie heals. The sheriff's men froze, their swords drawn, but Claire's knife pressed, her voice fierce. Leave them, she said, and the women stood, a wall, their eyes fierce. The sheriff nodded, his face pale, his men retreating, the priest's whispers faint. The square quiet, night fell, the hovel hushed. Marjorie's book safe, its pages my truth. Bess brewed tea, her hands steady, her smile bright. We're ready. Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her courage, my light. The smiled, we're ready. Agnes Norwich women. York, we'll heal. I nodded, tears falling. Their fire my guide. Claire gripped my arm, her voice low. The inquest's 2 days will hold. Agnes. I clasped her hand, my heart pounding. Rafe's warning await. The crown's shadow near. Marjorie's spark my flame. Dawn loomed. Norwich awake, its bells soft. The sheriff's hunt stalled for now. The priest's whispers, the merchant's wife's lies, the royal men's swords lingered, but I felt Marjorie's spark, Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again, for Bess, for Claire, for Norwich's women, a thread that wouldn't break. The frost gripped Norwich, its cobbles gleaming under a pale dawn, the air sharp with the bite of winter and fear. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter. 23. My hands rough from the loom, my heart a forge for Widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and dread. Our truths hidden in whispers, Marjorie's book, her herbs, her prayers was my vow, its remedies a flame for Norwich's women. Now a growing network of healers reaching York. Bess, my sister, bloomed as a healer, her hands deft, her courage bright. Clare led with fire, her knife ever ready, the sheriff's gaze a lingering threat. Rafe's warning of a royal inquest hung heavy, its shadow nearing. Now, a new shadow fell a royal envoy's arrival, a traitor among the women, and a parish on the brink, a thread that could weave or snap us all. Dawn broke brittle, the marshes silent, their reeds stiff with ice. I sat in Ellen's hovel, its walls damp, its hearth faint. Norwich's women gathered close. Clare's arm was scarred but strong, her face fierce, her knife tucked close. Bess, her hand steady, mixed chamomile salve, its scent a prayer. The women midwives, weavers, mothers listened, their faces gaunt, their eyes sharp. Yarrow stops bleeding. I said, my voice clear, tracing Marjorie's words. Use it sparingly, winter's herbs are scarce. Ellen nodded, her voice firm. My son walks because of you. Agnes, she said, and I smiled. Their trust a thread. Bess looked up, her eyes bright. Agnes, York's women learn too, she said, her voice proud. My heart swelled, but Clare's voice cut through. Sharp. Whose? Agnes' royal men are here. My stomach twisted. Coverture a ghost. The crown's wrath a blade. I clasped Bess's hand, my voice soft. We'll face them, Bess, I said. Marjorie's spark my guide. A horn blared, sharp from the square, and the women hushed, their candles low. Clare slipped out, her knife ready, returning pale. A royal envoy, Sir William, with guards, she whispered. He seeks witches, rebels, Marjorie's book. My heart stopped. The book hidden under Ellen's hearth. Its pages my truth. Now a noose. Ellen's voice was steady. We'll shield you. Agnes hovels. Cellars. Lies. I nodded. Tears falling. Their fire my shield. But a knock rattled the door. Soft. Urgent. A seamstress. Mary stood. Her face pale. Her hands trembling. I spoke. Agnes, she whispered. Her eyes wet. The priest pressed me, I named the book. The women gasped. Clare's knife flashing, her face fierce. Traitor, she hissed. But I raised my hand, my voice calm. Why? Mary, I asked, my heart breaking. She knelt, sobbing. My babe's sick. Agnes, the priest, swore medicine. Mercy. My throat burned. Her fear a mirror. Marjorie's fate my warning. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. What now? Agnes, I stood, my heart racing. We meet the envoy, I said. With truth, Claire gripped my arm. Her voice low, he'll burn us. Agnes, I shook my head. Marjorie's fire, my guide. We'll weave their trust, I said. And the women nodded, their hands strong. Mary's tears await. Noon brought the guild hall, its doors wide. The square thick with Norwich's folk, their whispers sharp. I walked, my shawl low, my braid hidden, the book safe for now. Bess stood close, her basket empty, her eyes fierce. Claire flanked me, her knife hidden, her face a mask. Sir William, the envoy, sat, his cloak rich, his face stern, his guards armored. The priest stood, his cross high, his voice loud. Agnes, weaver's daughter, harbors a witch's book. He roared, and the crowd murmured. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, nodding. She's Marjorie's kin. My pulse quickened. Her lead-painted lie a spark. But I stepped forward, my voice clear. Marjorie's book heals, not harms, I said, and Ellen raised her voice. Firm. Her salve saved my son. A midwife nodded. Her tea eased my birth. Sir William's eyes narrowed, his voice cold. Show the book. Weaver, he said, his hand on his sword. My heart stopped. The book in Ellen's hovel, Mary's betrayal a blade. Claire whispered, deny it, Agnes, but I shook my head. Marjorie sparked my light. It's herbs, prayers, I said, for Norwich is sick. The priest laughed, his voice sharp. Witchcraft, he cried, and the crowd stirred, their eyes hard. Mary stepped forward, her face pale, her voice trembling. I lied. Sir William, she said, for my babe no book, only herbs. The crowd gasped, Claire's hand on her knife, my heart pounding. Sir William stood, his voice low. Bring the book, or Norwich burns, he said, his guards drawing swords. Dusk fell, the square tents, torches flaring, women's voices soft. I slipped to Ellen's hovel, the book in my hands, its pages my truth. Bess followed, her eyes wide, her voice soft. Agnes, they'll kill you, she said. I clasped her hand, my voice steady. We'll save them. Bess, I said, and Claire nodded, her face fierce. We stand, Agnes all Norwich. The women gathered, their shawls low, their baskets full yarrow. Chamomile, Marjorie's gift. We marched, The Guildhall bright, Sir William's guards heavy. I held the book high, my voice loud. "Read it, my lord," I said. No curses, only care. The crowd hushed, their eyes sharp, the priest's face pale, his cross trembling. Sir William took the book, his hands slow, his eyes scanning juniper, yarrow, prayers. "No treason," he said, his voice low. "No witchcraft." The crowd exhaled. Women weeping, men nodding. The priest shouted, "Blasphemy." But Sir William raised his hand, his voice sharp. "Enough. Priest Norwich heals." My tears fell. Marjorie's fire, my shield. Bess's hand in mine. Claire's smile fierce. Mary knelt, her face wet, her voice soft. "Forgive me, Agnes," she said, and I nodded. Her pain my mirror. The envoy turned, his eyes hard. "Mind the crown, Weaver," he said, and left, his guards trailing. The priest silent, the square alive. Night fell, Norwich quiet, its bells soft. The sheriff's hunt gone for now. Bess brewed tea, her hands deft, her smile bright. "We're free, Agnes," she said, and I nodded, her courage my light. Claire gripped my arm, her voice low. "York waits. Agnes, more women, more books." I smiled. "Their fire my guide. Marjorie's book safe, its pages my truth. Norwich's women my thread, the priest's whispers, the merchant's wife's lies. The crown's shadow lingered, but I felt Marjorie's spark. Jean's blood in my veins, I'd weave again. For Bess, for Claire, for Norwich's women, a thread that wouldn't break. The wind howled over York's ancient walls, its stones dark under a storm-heavy sky, the air thick with the scent of rain and wool. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands rough from the loom, my heart a beacon for Widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and fear, our truth stitched in secret. Marjorie's book her herbs, her prayers was my vow. Its remedies a fire now burning in Norwich and reaching York's women. Bess, my sister, 16, walked beside me, her hands deft, her healing skill blooming. Claire held Norwich, her leadership fierce, her knife a shield against the sheriff's gaze. The royal inquest had spared us, but whispers of a new threat stirred a church inquiry, branding Marjorie's book heresy. Now, a new shadow fell York's women in peril, a bishop's hunt for dissent, and a traitor's whisper, a thread that could weave or tear us apart. Dusk settled cold. York Street's narrow, its cobbles slick with mud. Bess and I lodged in a weaver's hovel, its walls timber, its hearth faint. York's women gathered close. Bess crushed yarrow, her hands steady, her voice soft. Chamomile for sleep, she said. Teaching, her eyes bright. The women spinners, midwives, alewives listened, their faces lined, their hands strong. Juniper for fever, I added, my voice clear. Marjorie's book open, its pages worn, a spinner. Joan nodded, her voice firm. My babe lives because of your Norwich tea, she said, and I smiled. Their trust a thread. Bess looked up, her eyes sharp. Agnes, they learn fast, she whispered, her pride my light. But a knock rattled the door, sharp, and I tensed. Marjorie's book under my shift, its weight my vow. A midwife, Sarah, slipped in, her face pale, her voice low. A bishop's men come. Agnes, she said. They call Marjorie's book heresy, your name with it. My heart stopped. Coverture a ghost, the church's wrath a noose. I clasped Bess's hand, my voice steady. We'll face them, I said. Marjorie's spark my guide. Joan's voice trembled. They burned a healer in Leeds, she said. For less, I nodded, tears falling. Their fear my mirror. We hide the book, I said, and teach in secret. Sarah shook her head, her eyes wet. A woman spoke, Alice, the dyer's wife. She named you to save her kin. My throat burned. Betrayal a blade. Marjorie's fate my warning. The women hushed. Bess's hand trembling, her voice soft. Agnes, what now? I stood, my heart racing. We stay, I said. We heal. We prove Marjorie's truth. Joan gripped my arm, her face fierce. York's women stand. Agnes cellars, lofts, markets. I nodded. Their fire my shield. But Sarah's voice cut through. Lo, the bishop's men search tomorrow mind the cathedral. We planned, our voices soft. The book hidden under Joan's loom, its pages safe. Bess brewed tea, her hands deft, her smile faint. We're strong, Agnes, she said, and I clasped her hand. Her courage my flame. Dawn broke. York's cathedral looming, its bells a dirge, summoning the bishop's inquiry. I moved through the market, my shawl low, my braid hidden, Bess at my side, her basket full chamomile, yarrow, Marjorie's gift, A spinner slipped me cloth, her voice low. My son's cough. Agnes, your salve. I handed her juniper, her eyes grateful. The cathedral's shadow fell, its guards heavy. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, whispering, "She's the Norwich witch." My pulse quickened. Her lead-painted lie a spark, but Bess's hand steadied me. Her voice soft, "Keep teaching." "Agnes," she said, her light my guide. The cathedral's nave was cold, its air sour with incense. The bishop's voice thunder, his robes rich. "Agnes, weaver's daughter," he roared. "You spread heresy." Marjorie's book. The crowd murmured, "Alice." The dyer's wife, standing, her face pale, her voice trembling. "She heals, not harms," she said, her eyes wet. Her betrayal undone. My heart swelled. Her courage a thread, but the bishop laughed. His cross high, "Show the book," he demanded. His guards drawing swords. I stepped forward, my voice clear. "It's herbs, prayers," I said, "for York's sick." Joan raised her voice, firm. Her tea saved my babed. A midwife nodded. Her salve healed my burns. The bishop's eyes narrowed, his voice cold. "Bring the book, or York burns," he said, his hand on a scroll church law. My doom. My stomach twisted. The book in Joan's hovel. Alice's confession, a fragile shield. Bess whispered, "Deny it, Agnes." But I shook my head. Marjorie sparked my light. "It's no heresy," I said. "Only care." The crowd stirred, women's voices rising, men's murmurs sharp. A guard lunged, his hand on my arm. But Sarah stepped forward, her voice loud. "I lied too. Bishop, she's no witch." The crowd gasped. Joan's hand on her knife, my heart pounding. The bishop faltered, his scroll trembling, his guards hesitating. A horn blared, sharp from the square. Torches flaring, women's voices roaring. "Free Agnes." York's women surged, their shawls falling, their hands fierce. Norwich's letters in their hands, Clare's words, sent north, calling for unity. The bishop's guards drew back, their swords heavy, and I ran to Joan, my voice loud. "Bring the book." She nodded, slipping away, returning with Marjorie's pages, its truth open. I held it high, my voice clear. "Read it, my lord," I said. "No heresy, only healing." The crowd hushed, the bishop's hands slow, his eyes scanning yarrow. "Chamomile." prayers. No, sir, he muttered, his voice low. No dissent. The women cheered, their tears falling. Alice's hand in mine, Sarah's smile bright. The bishop turned, his eyes hard. Mind the church. Weaver, he said, and left, his guards trailing. The cathedral quiet. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. We won. Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her courage, my flame. Joan gripped my arm, her face fierce. York's yours. Agnes Norwich. York. More. I smiled. There fire my guide. Marjorie's book safe. Its pages my truth. The women's trust my thread. Claire's letter burned in my hands. Her words clear Norwich holds. Agnes. Spread the fire. Night fell. York quiet. Its bells soft. The bishop's hunt gone for now. Bess brewed tea. Her hands deft, her smile bright. We'll teach, Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her light my guide. The merchant's wife's lies. The church's shadow. The crown's gaze lingered, but I felt Marjorie's spark. Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again. For Bess. For Joan. For York's women. A thread that wouldn't break. The Thames churned dark under London's sprawl. Its banks thick with the stench of fish and tar. The air heavy with the clamor of bells and trade. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter. 23, my hands rough from the loom, my heart aflame for widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and dread. Our truths woven in whispers. Marjorie's book, her herbs, her prayers was my vow. Its remedies a fire now burning in Norwich, York, and reaching London's women. Bess, my sister, 16, stood beside me, her healing skill sharp, her courage fierce. Claire held Norwich, her leadership a shield. York's women led by Joan. The church's inquiry had spared us, but a new threat loomed, a royal decree banning folk healing, branding it witchcraft. Now, a new shadow fell Ralph's return with a court secret. London's women in peril, and a traitor's gaze, a thread that could bind or break us all. Dusk cloaked London, its alleys tight, its cobbles slick with rain. Bess and I hid in a chandler's hovel, its walls wax-stained, its hearth faint. London's women gathered close. Bess mixed yarrow salve, her hands deft, her voice soft, chamomile for burns. She taught, her eyes bright. The women laundresses, fishwives, midwives listened, their faces worn, their hands strong. Juniper for fever, I added, my voice clear. Marjorie's book open, its pages fragile. A fishwife, Meg, nodded, her voice rough. My lad's cough eased with your York tea, she said, and I smiled. Their trust a thread, Bess whispered, her eyes sharp. Agnes, London's big, they need us, she said, her pride my light. But a creak at the door froze us sharp, and I clutched the book. Its weight my vow. Rafe slipped in, his cloak sodden, his face scarred, his eyes hard. The king's decrees posted, he said, his voice low. No herbs, no tea's witchcraft. All your books marked. Weaver, my heart stopped. Coverture a ghost. The crown's wrath a noose. I clasped Bess's hand, my voice steady. We'll teach in secret, I said. Marjorie's spark my guide. Meg's voice trembled. They hanged a healer in Cheapside, she said, for a salve. I nodded, tears falling. Their fear my mirror. We hide, I said, but we heal. Rafe shook his head, his voice sharp. There's more a court spy names you. Tied to my letters, Cromwell's men hunt. My throat burned, his secret a blade. Marjorie's fate, my warning. The women hushed, Bess's hand trembling, her voice soft. Agnes, what's his secret? I turned to Rafe, my voice firm. Speak, smuggler. He knelt, his hands open. My letters named a Lord Norwich, York. Now London plotting against Henry's church. Your books their excuse. Weaver called code for treason. My stomach twisted. The book's herbs innocent. My voice loud. It's healing, not plots. Rafe nodded, his eyes narrow. Prove it, or London burns. Meg gripped my arm, her face fierce. We'll shield you. Agnes Sellers. Boats. Markets. I nodded. Their fire my shield. But Bess whispered, someone watches. Agnes' eyes in the crowd. Dawn broke. London's wharves alive. Its air thick with salt and shouts. I moved through the market. My shawl low, my braid hidden, the book hidden in Meg's boat. Bess walked close, her basket full yarrow. Chamomile, Marjorie's gift. A laundress slipped me cloth, her voice low. My babe's fever. Agnes, your tea. I handed her juniper, her eyes grateful. Saint Paul's shadow fell, its bells loud. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, whispering, she's the York witch. My pulse quickened, her lead-painted lie a spark, but Bess's hand steadied me. her voice soft. Keep weaving. Agnes, she said, her light my guide. The chandler's hovel swelled at noon, the women's candles low, their voices soft. I taught. Marjorie's words clear, salve for wounds, tea for birth. Bess answered question, her voice sharp, her skill bright. Why yarrow clots? A midwife asked, and Bess smiled, showing notes. Marjorie's hand in hers. Meg stood guard, her face fierce, her voice low. Cromwell's men search Southwark, she said, naming you. Agnes. My heart raced. A network beyond London at risk. But I nodded. We'll reach them, I said. Their fire my thread. A scream tore the alley. Sharp. And Rafe burst in, his face pale. A woman spoke, Kate. The fishwife, she named you to Cromwell's men. The women gasped. Meg's knife flashing, her face fierce. Traitor, she hissed. But I raised my hand, my voice calm. Why? Kate. Rafe shook his head, his voice low. Coin. Fear her man's in jail. My throat burned. Betrayal a mirror. Marjorie's fate my vow. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. Agnes. What now? I stood, my heart pounding. We face them, I said, with truth. Meg nodded, her face fierce. London's women stand. Agnes wharves, hovels, Thames. We planned. The book hidden in Meg's boat, its pages safe. Bess brewed tea, her hands deft, her smile faint. We're strong, Agnes, she said, and I clasped her hand. Her courage, my flame. Dusk brought Saint Paul's, its nave dim, its air sour with wax. Cromwell's men heavy, their swords bright. I walked, the book in my hands, Bess at my side. Meg's knife hidden, a captain, his cloak rich, stood, his voice cold. Agnes, weaver's daughter, you spread witchcraft, treason. The crowd murmured. Kate standing, her face pale, her voice trembling. I lied. My lord, she said, for my man no treason, only herbs. My heart swelled, her courage a thread. But the captain laughed, his scroll high. Show the book, he demanded, his guards closing in. I held it high, my voice clear. Read it, my lord Herbs. Prayers, no codes. Meg raised her voice, firm. Her tea saved my lad. A midwife nodded. Her salve healed my hands. The captain took the book, his hands slow, his eyes scanning juniper. Yarrow, prayers. No treason, he muttered, his voice low. No witchcraft. The crowd exhaled. Women weeping, men nodding. Kate knelt, her face wet, her voice soft. Forgive me, Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her pain my mirror. The captain turned, his eyes hard. Mine the crown. Weaver, he said, and left. His guards trailing, the nave quiet. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. We won, Agnes, she said, and I nodded, her courage my flame. Meg gripped my arm, her face fierce. London's yours. Agnes Norwich. York. Thames. I smiled. Their fire my guide. Marjorie's book safe. Its pages my truth. The women's trust my thread. Night fell. London quiet. Its bells soft. Cromwell's hunt gone for now. Bess brewed tea. Her hands deft. Her smile bright. We'll teach, Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her light my guide. Rafe slipped away, his secret clear. The merchant's wife's lies. The crown's shadow lingered, but I felt Marjorie's spark. Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again. For Bess, for Meg, for London's women, a thread that wouldn't break. The frost clung to London's rooftops, its spires sharp under a dawn heavy with snow. The air thick with the reek of coal and Thames mud. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23. My hands scarred from the loom, my heart a furnace for Widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and fear. Our truths whispered in cellars. Marjorie's book, her herbs, her prayers was my vow. Its remedies a fire now burning in Norwich. York and London, a network of women healers growing strong. Bess, my sister, 16, led with skill, her healing hands fierce. Meg, London's fishwife, rose as a leader, her voice a beacon on the wharves. Claire held Norwich, Joan led York, their courage a shield. The royal decree had spared us, but a new threat loomed, a law from Thomas Cromwell, banning women healers, branding them witches. Now, a new shadow fell, a court summoned to face Cromwell's agent, a traitor's whisper in London, and a nation's women at risk, a thread that could weave or snap us all. Dawn broke bitter, London's alleys quiet, their cobbles glazed with ice. I sat in Meg's hovel, its walls damp, its hearth faint. London's women gathered close. Bess mixed chamomile tea, her hands deft, her voice soft. Yarrow for wounds, she taught. her eyes bright. The women laundresses, midwives, fishwives listened, their faces gaunt, their hands strong. Juniper for fever, I added, my voice clear. Marjorie's book hidden under Meg's floor, its pages fragile. A midwife, Ruth, nodded, her voice firm. My daughter's burns healed with your salve, she said, and I smiled. Their trust a thread, Bess whispered, her eyes sharp. Agnes, Norwich and York send word they're ready, she said, her pride my light. But a knock rattled the door, sharp, and I tensed. The book's weight, my vow. Meg opened it, her knife hidden, her face fierce. A boy, his cloak ragged, handed a scroll, his voice low. Cromwell's agent, Master Vaughan, summons you, Weaver to Whitehall. Tomorrow. My heart stopped. Coverture a ghost, the crown's wrath a blade. I clasped Bess's hand, my voice steady. We'll face him, I said. Marjorie sparked my guide. Ruth's voice trembled. They hanged 3 in Kent, she said. For herbs, I nodded. Tears falling. Their fear my mirror. We hide, I said. But we heal. Meg gripped my arm, her face fierce. London's with you. Agnes wharves, markets, boats. I nodded. Their fire my shield. But Bess whispered, someone's missing, Liz. The laundress. The women hushed, Meg's knife flashing, her voice sharp. She's gone since dawn, she said, her eyes narrow. My throat burned. Betrayal a shadow, Marjorie's fate my warning. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. Agnes, what now? I stood, my heart racing. We prepare, I said, for Whitehall, for truth. Meg nodded, her voice low. We'll search for Liz traitor or lost. We planned the book safe, Bess brewing tea, her hands deft, her smile faint. We're strong, Agnes, she said, and I clasped her hand, her courage my flame. A letter from Claire arrived, her words clear. Norwich holds. Agnes, York stands. Spread the fire. Noon brought London's market. Its stalls lean, the air thick with snow and whispers. I moved, my shawl low, my braid hidden, Bess at my side, her basket full chamomile. Yarrow, Marjorie's gift. A fishwife slipped me cloths, her voice low. My babe's cough. Agnes, your tea. I handed her juniper, her eyes grateful. Westminster's shadow fell, its bells loud. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, whispering, "She's the London witch." My pulse quickened. Her lead-painted lie a spark, but Bess's hand steadied me. Her voice soft. "Keep teaching, Agnes," she said. Her light my guide. Dusk brought Whitehall, its halls cold, its air sour with wax and ink. Cromwell's agent, Master Vaughan, waiting, his cloak rich, his face stern. I walked, the book hidden in Meg's boat, Bess and Meg at my side, their eyes fierce. Vaughan stood, his scroll high, his voice cold. "Agnes, weaver's daughter, you defy the king's law, spreading witchcraft." The crowd courtiers, guards murmured, "Liz." The laundress, standing, her face pale, her voice trembling. I spoke. "My lord," she said, "for my kin they threatened my son." My heart sank. Her betrayal a blade, but I stepped forward, my voice clear. "Marjorie's herbs heal, not harm," I said, and Meg raised her voice. Firm. Her tea saved my lad. Ruth nodded. Her salve healed my hands. Vaughan's eyes narrowed, his voice sharp. "The king's law bans your kind," he said, his hand on a decree, Cromwell's seal. My doom. My stomach twisted. Liz's confession a fragile shield. "The book safe for now," Bess whispered. "Deny it, Agnes." But I shook my head. Marjorie sparked my light. "We heal the sick," I said. "No witchcraft, only care." The crowd stirred, women's voices rising, courtiers' murmurs sharp. A guard lunged, his hand on my arm, but Liz stepped forward, her voice loud. "I lied, my lord, no witchcraft, only fear." The crowd gasped, Meg's knife ready, my heart pounding. Vaughan faltered, his scroll trembling, his guards hesitating. A horn blared, sharp from the hall, torches flaring, women's voices roaring. "Free Agnes." London's women surged, their shawls falling, their hands fierce, letters from Norwich and York in their hands. Claire's words, Joan's vow, calling for unity. Vaughan's guards drew back, their swords heavy, and I ran to Meg, my voice loud. "Bring the book." She nodded, slipping away, returning with Marjorie's pages, its truth open. I held it high, my voice clear. "Read it, my lord," I said. "No witchcraft, only healing." The crowd hushed, Vaughan's hands slow, his eyes scanning Yarrow. "Chamomile, prayers, no crime," he muttered, his voice low. "No treason." The women cheered, their tears falling. Liz's hand in mine, Meg's smile bright. Vaughn turned, his eyes hard. Mind the crown. Weaver, he said, and left. His guards trailing, the hall quiet. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. We won. Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her courage my flame. Meg gripped my arm. Her face fierce. England's yours. Agnes Norwich. York. London. More. I smiled. Their fire, my guide. Marjorie's book safe. Its pages, my truth. The women's trust, my thread. Liz knelt, her face wet, her voice soft. Forgive me, Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her pain, my mirror. Claire's letter burned in my hands, her words clear. Norwich grows. Agnes. The fire spreads. Night fell. London quiet. Its bells soft. Cromwell's hunt gone for now. Bess brewed tea, her hands deft, her smile bright. We'll teach, Agnes, she said, and I nodded, her light my guide. The merchant's wife's lies, the church's shadow. Cromwell's gaze lingered, but I felt Marjorie's spark, Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again, for Bess, for Meg, for England's women, a thread that wouldn't break. Snow-blanketed London's spires, its streets hushed under a dawn thick with frost. The air sharp with the tang of smoke and fear. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands scarred from the loom, my heart ablaze for Widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and dread, our truths woven in secret. Marjorie's book, her herbs, her prayers was my vow, its remedies a fire burning across Norwich, York, and London, a network of women healers now national. Bess, my sister, 60, led with wisdom, her healing hands fierce. Meg ruled London's wharves, her voice a beacon. Claire held Norwich. Joan led York, their courage a shield. Cromwell's agent had spared us, but a new threat loomed, a nationwide decree from Thomas Cromwell himself, banning women healers, branding them witches and traitors. Now, a new shadow fell Ralph's return with a court ally, a women's uprising stirring, and Cromwell's gaze on me, a thread that could weave or break us all. Dawn broke cold, London's Thames frozen at its edges, its wharves silent. I sat in Meg's hovel, its walls damp, its hearth faint. Women from Norwich, York, and London gathered close. Bess brewed yarrow tea, her hands deft, her voice soft. chamomile for burns. She taught, her eyes bright. The women midwives, weavers, fishwives listened, their faces lined, their hands strong. Juniper for fever, I added, my voice clear. Marjorie's book hidden under Meg's floor, its pages worn, a weaver. And nodded, her voice firm. My son's wounds closed with your salve, she said. And I smiled. Their trust a thread, Bess whispered, her eyes sharp. Agnes, Claire writes Norwich Women March, she said, her pride my light. But a knock rattled the door, sharp, and I tensed. The book's weight, my vow. Meg opened it, her knife hidden, her face fierce. Rafe stood, his cloak snow-dusted, his face gaunt. A woman beside him, Lady Eleanor, her gown rich, her eyes sharp. Cromwell's decrees sealed, Rafe said, his voice low. No women healers, on pain of death. He names you Weaver. My heart stopped. Coverture a ghost, the crown's wrath a blade. Lady Eleanor stepped forward, her voice soft. I'm Henry's cousin. Weaver, I read Marjorie's book. It saved my child. I'll speak for you, but Cromwell hunts. My throat burned. Her alliance a spark. Marjorie's fate my warning. I clasped Bess's hand, my voice steady. We'll fight, I said. Marjorie's spark my guide. The women hushed. Meg's knife flashing, her voice sharp. What's the plan? Agnes. I stood, my heart racing. We marched, I said. Norwich, York, London women together. Anne's voice trembled. They burned a midwife in Exeter, she said. For a tea, I nodded. Tears falling. Their fear, my mirror. We show truth, I said. Marjorie's book. Our hands, Lady Eleanor nodded, her voice firm. I'll bring you to court. Agnes, but mind Cromwell's spies. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. Agnes. Someone's gone, Ruth. The midwife. My stomach twisted. Betrayal a shadow. Marjorie's fate my vow. Noon brought London streets. It snow trampled. The air thick with whispers and frost. I moved. My shawl low, my braid hidden. The book safe in Meg's boat. Bess walked close, her basket full yarrow. Chamomile, Marjorie's gift. A fishwife slipped me claw, her voice low, my babe's fever. Agnes, your tea. I handed her juniper, her eyes grateful. Whitehall's shadow fell, its bells loud. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, whispering, she's the rebel witch. My pulse quickened. her lead-painted lie a spark. But Bess's hand steadied me, her voice soft. "Keep weaving, Agnes," she said, her light my guide. Dusk brought Whitehall's halls, its air sour with wax and ambition. Cromwell's men heavy, their swords bright. I walked, the book hidden, Bess and Meg at my side. Lady Eleanor leading, her face calm. Cromwell stood, his face stern, his voice cold. "Agnes, weaver's daughter, you defy my law, spreading witchcraft, treason." The crowd courtiers, bishops murmured. Ruth, the midwife, standing, her face pale, her voice trembling. I spoke. "My lord," she said, "for my kin they took my daughter." My heart sank. Her betrayal a blade, but I stepped forward, my voice clear. "Marjorie's herbs heal, not harm," I said, and Meg raised her voice, firm. Her tea saved my lad. Anne nodded. Her salve healed my son. Cromwell's eyes narrowed, his voice sharp. "The king's law binds you," he said, his hand on a decree, his seal. My doom. My stomach twisted. Ruth's confession a fragile shield. "The book's safe for now," Bess whispered. "Deny it, Agnes." But I shook my head. Marjorie's spark my light. "We heal England's sick," I said. "No treason, only care." The crowd stirred. Women's voices rising. Courtiers' murmurs sharp. A horn blared, sharp from the square. Torches flaring. Women's voices roaring. Free Agnes. Women from Norwich, York, London surged, their shawls falling, their hands fierce. Letters from Claire and Joan in their hands, calling for justice. Cromwell's guards drew back, their swords heavy, and Lady Eleanor stepped forward, her voice loud. "Read her book, my lord," she said. "No treason, only mercy." Meg slipped away, returning with Marjorie's book, its pages open. I held it high, my voice clear. "Read it, my lord," I said. "Herbs, prayers, no codes." The crowd hushed. Cromwell's hands slow, his eyes scanning Yarrow. "Chamomile, prayers, no treason," he muttered, his voice low. "No witchcraft." The women cheered, their tears falling. Ruth's hand in mine, Meg's smile bright. Cromwell turned, his eyes hard. "Mind the crown, weaver," he said, and left, his guards trailing, the hall quiet. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. "We won, Agnes," she said, and I nodded. her courage my flame. Lady Eleanor gripped my arm, her face fierce. England's women rise, Agnes lead them. I smiled. Their fire my guide. Marjorie's book safe. Its pages my truth. The women's trust my thread. Night fell. London alive. Its bells soft. The square bright with torches. Women marched. Their voices loud Norwich. York. London. More. Bess brewed tea. Her hands deft. Her smile bright. We'll teach. Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her light my guide. Meg raised her fist, her voice fierce. The Thames is ours. Agnes England's next. I smiled. Their fire my guide. Ruth knelt, her face wet, her voice soft. Forgive me, Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her pain my mirror. Rafe slipped away, his alliance clear. The merchant's wife's lies. Cromwell's shadow lingered, but I felt Marjorie's spark. Jean's blood in my veins. I'd weave again for Bess, for Meg, for England's women, a thread that wouldn't break. The snow fell thick over England's heart, its fields silent under a dawn cloaked in ice. The air sharp with the bite of winter and dread. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands scarred from the loom, my heart a beacon for Widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and fear, our truths hidden in shadows. Marjorie's book, her herbs, her prayers was my vow, its remedies a fire burning across Norwich, York, London, and beyond. A national network of women healers, now a secret sisterhood. Bess, my sister, 16, led with grace, her healing hands fierce. Meg ruled London's wharves, her voice a clarion. Clare held Norwich, Joan led York, Lady Eleanor whispered in court, their courage a shield. Cromwell's decree had crumbled, but a new threat loomed, Henry VIII's own command to crush our sisterhood, branding us rebels. Now, a new shadow fell, John the Tanner's return, a royal hunt, and a hidden sanctuary, a thread that could weave or break us all. Dawn broke bitter, the marshes beyond London quiet, their reeds stiff with frost. I sat in a smuggler's hovel, its walls mud, its hearth faint. Women from England's corners gathered close. Bess brewed chamomile tea, her hands deft, her voice soft. Yarrow for wounds, she taught, her eyes bright. The women midwives, spinners, fishwives listened, their faces gaunt, their hands strong. Juniper for fever, I added, my voice clear. Marjorie's book hidden under the floor, its pages worn. A spinner. Grace nodded, her voice firm. "My daughter's fever broke with your tea," she said, and I smiled. "Their trust a thread," Bess whispered, her eyes sharp. Agnes. "Joan writes, York's women hide in cellars," she said, her pride my light. But a creak at the door froze us, sharp, and I tensed. The book's weight, my vow. Meg opened it, her knife hidden, her face fierce. Rafe stood, his cloak snow-dusted, his face grim. Lady Eleanor beside him, her eyes urgent. "Henry's command is sealed," Rafe said, his voice low. "His men hunt your sisterhood." Weaver, Norwich, York, London, all. My heart stopped. Coverture a ghost. The king's wrath a blade. Lady Eleanor knelt, her voice soft. "I heard Cromwell in court. Henry fears your power. Agnes calls it rebellion." My throat burned. Marjorie's fate, my warning. Her spark, my guide. I clasped Bess's hand, my voice steady. "We build a sanctuary," I said, "a hidden place to heal." Meg's knife flashed, her voice sharp. "Where?" Agnes. I stood, my heart racing. The marshes, Rafe's paths, our hands. The women hushed, Grace's voice trembling. "They burned a weaver in Bristol," she said. "For a salve?" I nodded, tears falling. Their fear, my mirror. "We hide," I said, "but we heal." Lady Eleanor nodded, her voice firm. "I'll send coin. Weaver, build your sanctuary. I'll shield you in court." Bess clung to me, her voice soft. "Agnes, someone's near hooves." My stomach twisted. A shadow moving, and Rafe's eyes narrowed, his dagger drawn. John the tanner stepped from the fog, his face twisted, his voice raw. "You shamed me, Agnes," he roared. "Now you'll burn." My pulse quickened, his betrayal a blade, but Meg's knife pressed his throat, her face fierce. "Move, Tanner," she hissed, and he froze, his eyes wild. A horn blared, sharp through the marsh. Royal men's shouts loud, Henry's hunters. Rafe pushed John down, his voice low. "Hide. Weaver." I grabbed the book, Bess at my side, Meg leading, the women scattering. The smugglers' paths twisted, their mud deep, our breaths sharp. Lady Eleanor stayed, her voice calm. "I'll delay them," she said, her gown a beacon, her courage my flame. We reached a hollow, its reeds thick, a cave within our sanctuary's seed. Bess hid the book, her hand steady, her voice soft. "We'll build here, Agnes," she said, and I nodded, her light my guide. Meg stood guard, her knife ready, her voice low. "They're close. Agnes Royal men." John's lied. Dusk brought silence. The marsh dark, its air thick with frost and fear. I knelt in the cave. Marjorie's book open, its pages my truth. Bess taught, her voice clear salve for burns. Tea for birth. Grace listened, her hands deft, her courage bright. "Why chamomile calms?" she asked, and Bess smiled, Marjorie's hand in hers. Meg slipped in, her face grim. "John's with them. Agnes names you witch, rebel." My heart sank. His vengeance a noose, but I stood, my voice clear. "We'll face them," I said, with truth. A shout tore the marsh. Sharp royal men, their torches flaring. John's voice loud. "There, the witch." The women hushed, Meg's knife ready, Bess's hand in mine. Lady Eleanor burst in, her gown torn, her face fierce. I stalled them, she gasped. But Cromwell's men come Henry's order. My stomach twisted, the king's shadow a blade, but I held the book high, my voice loud. "We heal England," I said. "No rebellion, only care." The women nodded, their hands strong, their eyes fierce. A horn blared. "Closer," and Meg led us deeper. The cave's walls cold, our sanctuary alive. Grace raised her voice. "Firm. My babe lives because of you, Agnes." A midwife nodded. "Your tea eased my birth." The torches neared. John's voice raw, but Bess stepped forward, her voice clear. "We're no witches," she said, her courage my flame. A captain's voice roared, sharp through the reeds. "Surrender, weaver." I stepped out, the book in my hands, Meg and Bess at my side. The women behind, their shawls low, their hands fierce. "Read it." "My lord," I said, my voice clear. "Herbs, prayers, no treason." The captain took it, his hands slow, his eyes scanning yarrow. "Chamomile, prayers, no rebellion," he muttered, his voice low. "No witchcraft." The women exhaled, their tears falling. John's face pale, his lies broken. Lady Eleanor stepped forward, her voice loud. "Henry's kin stands with her." "Captain," she said, and the captain nodded, his guards retreating. John seized, his curses faint. Night fell, the marsh quiet, its stars bright, the royal hunt gone for now. The women gathered, their torches dim, Marjorie's book safe, its truth our vow. Bess led, her voice soft, teaching tea for fever, salve for pain. Meg smiled, her knife sheathed, her voice fierce. The sanctuary's ours. Agnes England's women build. I nodded, their fire my guide. Lady Eleanor's hand in mine, her coin a spark. Grace knelt, her voice soft. We're free, Agnes, she said, and I smiled. Her courage my light. John's shadow, Cromwell's gaze. Henry's wrath lingered, but I felt Marjorie's spark. Jean's blood in my veins, I'd weave again. For Bess, for Meg, for England's women, a thread that wouldn't break. The marshes of England sighed under a dawn veiled in mist, their reeds whispering, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and salt. I was Agnes, a weaver's daughter, 23, my hands scarred from the loom, my heart a torch for Widow Marjorie's legacy. It was 1535, Henry VIII's England, a land where women's lives were bound by law and fear, our truths guarded in secret. Marjorie's book, her herbs, her prayers was my vow, its remedies a fire burning through a hidden sanctuary, a sisterhood of healers spanning Norwich, York, London, and beyond. Bess, my sister, 16, led with wisdom, her healing hands fierce. Meg ruled London's wharves, her voice a rallying cry. Clare held Norwich. Joan led York. Lady Eleanor shielded us in court, their courage a fortress. Henry's hunt had faltered. John the Tanner silenced. But a new threat loomed, a church-led purge, branding our sanctuary a nest of heresy. Now, a new shadow fell, a foreign ally's offer to flee, a traitor's whisper within, and a nation's women rising, a thread that could weave or break us all. Dawn broke cold, the marsh sanctuary alive, its caves warm with the breath of women healers. I sat by a hearth, its flames faint. Women from England's corners gathered close. Bess mixed yarrow salve, her hands deft, her voice soft. Chamomile for burns. She taught, her eyes bright. The women midwives, weavers, fishwives listened, their faces lined, their hands strong. Juniper for fever. I added, my voice clear. Marjorie's book hidden in the cave's wall, its pages worn. A midwife, Ellen, nodded, her voice firm. My son's wounds healed with your salve, she said, and I smiled. Their trust a thread, Bess whispered, her eyes sharp. Agnes. Meg writes, London's women build new cells, she said. Her pride my light, but a rustle at the cave's mouth froze us. Sharp, and I tensed. The book's weight, my vow. Meg slipped in, her knife sheathed, her face fierce. Rafe followed, his cloak damp. A stranger beside him, a woman, her accent soft, her eyes keen. This is Marie, Rafe said, his voice low. A healer from France, sent by allies. She offers passage safety across the sea. My heart stopped. Coverture a ghost. The church's wrath a blade. Marie knelt, her voice gentle. Your book reached Calais. Weaver, our women learn. Come, teach us. Flee England's fire. My throat burned. Marjorie's spark my guide. Her fate my warning. I clasped Bess's hand, my voice steady. We stay, I said. We build, we heal. Meg's knife flashed, her voice sharp. What of the church? Agnes. Bishops name us heretics. The women hushed. Ellen's voice trembling. They burned a spinner in Lincoln, she said, for a prayer. I nodded, tears falling. Their fear my mirror. We hide deeper. I said, but we heal wider. Marie shook her head, her voice firm. England's church hunts bishops, priests, Cromwell's spies. Your sanctuary's known. Bess clung to me, her voice soft. Agnes, someone's missing grace. The spinner. My stomach twisted. Betrayal a shadow. Marjorie's fate. My vow. Rafe's eyes narrowed, his dagger drawn. She was seen with a priest, he said, his voice low. My pulse quickened, her absence a blade. But I stood, my heart racing. We face them, I said, with truth. Noon brought the marsh's edge, its air thick with mist and dread. I moved, my shawl low, my braid hidden, the book safe in the cave. Bess walked close, her basket full yarrow, chamomile, Marjorie's gift. A weaver slipped me cloth, her voice low, my babe's cough. Agnes, your tea. I handed her juniper, her eyes grateful. London's shadow loomed, its bells faint. A merchant's wife, her face white with ceruse, whispering, she's the heretic witch. My pulse quickened. Her lead-painted lie a spark, but Bess's hand steadied me, her voice soft. Keep weaving. Agnes, she said, her light my guide. Dusk brought the sanctuary, its caves crowded. The women's candles low, their voices soft. I taught, Marjorie's words clear salve for wounds, tea for birth. Bess led, her voice sharp, her skill bright. "Why yarrow clots?" Ellen asked, and Bess smiled. Marjorie's hand in hers. Meg stood guard, her face grim. Grace spoke, Agnes to a bishop's man. For her kin, my heart sank. Her betrayal a noose, but I nodded, my voice clear. We forgive. We protect. A horn blared, sharp through the marsh. Bishop's men shouting church soldiers, their crosses high. The women hushed, Meg's knife ready, Bess's hand in mine. Rafe burst in, his face pale. They're here, Bishop's men, Cromwell's spies. Grace led them, my stomach twisted. The church's shadow a blade, but I held the book high, my voice loud. We heal England, I said. No heresy, only care. The women nodded, their hands strong, their eyes fierce. A bishop's voice roared, sharp through the reeds. Surrender, Weaver. I stepped out, the book in my hands, Bess and Meg at my side, the women behind, their shawls low, their hands fierce. Read it, my lord, I said, my voice clear. Herbs, prayers, no sin. The bishop took it, his hands slow, his eyes scanning yarrow. Chamomile. Prayers, no heresy, he muttered, his voice low. No rebellion. The women exhaled, their tears falling. Grace's face pale, her confession broken. Marie stepped forward, her voice loud. France stands with her. Bishop, she said. Her letter raised Calais healers, allies abroad. The bishop faltered, his cross trembling, his men retreating. Meg gripped my arm, her face fierce. The sanctuary holds Agnes England's ours. I nodded. Their fire my guide. Bess's hand in mine, her smile bright. Grace knelt, her face wet, her voice soft. Forgive me, Agnes, she said, and I nodded. Her pain, my mirror. Rafe smiled, his dagger sheathed, his voice low. You've woven a nation. Weaver, I smiled. Their trust my thread. Marjorie's book safe. Its pages my truth. Night fell. The marsh alive. Its stars bright. The church's hunt gone for now. The women gathered, their torches dim. Bess leading, her voice soft tea for fever, salve for pain. Meg raised her fist, her voice fierce. We'll build Agnes sanctuaries, cells, seas. I nodded. Their fire my guide. Marie's hand in mine, her offer open. France waits. Weaver, she said, and I smiled, my heart full. The merchant's wife's lies, Cromwell's spies, the church's shadow lingered, but I felt Marjorie's spark, Jeanne's blood in my veins. I'd weave again, for Bess, for Meg, for England's women, a thread that wouldn't break, a fire that wouldn't fade.